5 years, the biggest issue haunting India's real estate sector is that of stalled housing projects. What went wrong? Developer greed, funds siphoned off, mismanagement, sales slowdown, or even lack of debt finance to complete the projects. The collective outrage on homes not delivered was so much that a stress fund by the name of Swamih Alternate Investment Fund was set up by the government to untangle this mess. A year and few months later, this fund seems to have made reasonable progress. The first few stalled projects are ready to be handed over to the home buyers.
Rivali Park, Borivali East, launched in 2013, is getting its finishing touches. For several years, construction in the project has come to a grinding halt, giving its 700 buyers sleepless nights. Finally, there is a ray of hope with the project ready for delivery. For desperate Rivali Park home buyers, a no-hope situation changed when Swamih Investment Fund for Stressed Residential Projects stepped in to take first charge of the stuck housing project. The 25,000 crore rupee investment fund was approved by the Union Cabinet in November 2019 and set up under the aegis of SBI Cap Ventures to enable the completion of badly stuck housing projects across India. The fund is likely to hand over 6,000 to 7,000 stuck homes in the next 12 to 14 months. So far, 164 stuck or delayed projects have been approved to receive funding from the Swamih Stressed Fund, giving hope to a lakh home buyers.
Multiple Swamih funds needed. This 25,000 crore bailout fund may simply not be enough, but it is a very promising start to an extremely messy problem. Let me welcome the man at the helm of Swamih Fund, Irfan A Kazi, Chief Investment Officer at SBI Cap Ventures Limited, to find out what more can the stuck home buyers expect. Irfan, thank you very much for being with us. I think first, let me ask you for a confirmation and the breakup of those 164 projects approved for funding. How many have received the final approvals, and what is the quantum of funds set aside for the completion of these?
So, the scoreboard that you referred to, we have given final approval to 55 projects. We've given initial approval to 109 projects. Between those 164 projects, we hope to complete about 1 lakh homes.
All right. Let me look at the total number now. 164, you said, approved by the Swamih Fund for funding.
Sure.
But if I look at the number of total stalled projects across India, it's 1,600. So we're talking about just 10% of total projects which are getting the bailout fund. Which projects make the cut is my question.
So there is an analysis that happens at 2 levels. One is the fund has a basic qualifying criteria. So, and we've made that public enough. So the fund can cater only to affordable and mid-income housing, and we've defined those terms. The fund can cater only to projects that are at least 30% complete. That's our definition of brownfield. The fund will provide last mile senior funding. The fund will only cater to net worth positive projects. So that's the eligibility criteria. And of course, the last one, probably as important, is the fund will only complete RERA registered projects.
In your experience, out of all the things that you've listed, what are some of the biggest pain points which make it tricky to fund every stalled project?
So the eligibility criteria is fairly straightforward. And even when the eligibility criteria was being devised, so it is not by accident, it's by design. It was made to be generous, and so that most of the stalled projects, most of the stress projects would fit in. In fact, when we did a back testing, about 94% or so of the stress projects in the country would fit into the kind of eligibility criteria. I think the biggest hurdles in this is, let's take them one at a time, right? So one is approvals. We take a almost benign, empathetic view on approvals, on regulatory approvals that are needed to complete the project. But there are some approvals without which we cannot do at all. So, for example, one constant hurdle we have is environmental approval. Environmental approval used to be given for about 5 years. In many cases, environmental approval has not been applied for. Environmental approvals have lapsed. Now, if that's the case, then we cannot do the funding.